created, God conceals his light, concealment after concealment after concealment, and allows for more and more finite levels of creation to emerge. There's much more to this world, my friends, than what you see with your eyes in this world. This is the only physical world, but there are countless spiritual worlds also. You've heard probably the acronym ABIA, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzhak, Asiya. Those are just categories of worlds, each one being more yeshus, more finiteness, i.e. more awareness. That even the spiritual worlds are finite. The angels are finite. They're just more aware of God's reality. The higher you go up, more God reality, more God consciousness. The lower down you go, more self-consciousness, less God consciousness, but still consciousness of God, total awareness of God, until you get to this physical world, which is an opportunity for zero God awareness. Could you imagine such a thing? And people fell for it. I feel so bad. Those who enrolled in any type of a PhD program to deny God, please cancel that program immediately. It's a very bad idea. But this world affords that because of the amount of concealment of God in this world. All of that happened with creation. So I want to explain there are three main levels that happen with creation. With creation, now there emerges a creation that can do one of three things. Number one, they can have so much feeling of self-independence and complete denial of their creator that they just run away. Where do they run to? Don't fill in the blanks. To all sorts of stuff. Okay? Ilan, thank you very much. Amen. That's level number one. That's not good. Don't do that. Is now that I'm created, I just run away to do whatever I want. Level number two, which we talked about yesterday, is a much, much higher level. And it's a very exalted level, and we want to achieve it. It's, I am aware that there's a creator. 100%. I can't be fooled. There's a creator. Not only is there a creator, he is manhig. He's running the world. And I am an independent person, aware of that. And I have to listen to God because he tells me what to do and he gave me a Torah. But I still have independence. There's God and there's me. God's like the manager of the company, and there's me. I'm part of the company, I have to listen to what God says, but there's a God and there's me. Now, is that a good thing? Or is it better than level one? Oh my goodness, much better. Level one is a disaster. Sadly, most of humanity is in level one. You interview a person on the streets. You just say, do you know that God created you? And you guys will do that. Go out and just ask people. Don't be weird about it, but...
What do you think would happen?
I don't know. Last time I was in New York, I was like riding the subway and I like looked at a guy, I was like, what? Not exactly like that. I was like, I know, okay, sorry. I think I'm a friendly person. But it was like, right? Is that how it goes? Like you just have to, you don't look, you just
stay in your lane.
So stay in your lane. My father said that to me. Yes, that's so funny you said that. It's like in corporate we say, stay in your own lane. So
you don't even have to look, you just have to be there.
Yeah. So, is that the rule? No, because I've also said hi to people and it's gone nicely. But you can do an experiment if you want to ask people, do you know that there's a creator? Do you believe there's a creator? So, I want to see what happens. A lot of people, just in conversations, not that I pulled the microphone out and asked them on the streets, but in conversation, yeah, in conversation, no, well, I haven't really thought about it, or I'm on my way to work, like, why are you asking me these philosophical questions? Well, it's kind of an important one to answer, because if that one is not answered properly, then everything that comes after that might be highly skewed in the wrong direction. So it would make good business sense to get that question clear in order to have the right outcome for the rest of your life. And there's a lot riding on that question. But the concealment is so great when God made the world on Rosh Hashanah that He allows for people to not even know that He exists. That's category number one. Category number two, we said, is that people know there's a creator, but He is distant. I have to listen to Him, and I have to follow what He says, but there's a God and there's a me. Then there's level number three. Level number three is, I know there's a God. Level number three only starts from level number two. I know there's a God, and I know that He created the world and He runs the world. But me, I'm also part of God. I'm not separate from God in any way possible. The me is that I yearn to return to be one with God. Did anything change after God created the world from His perspective? No. Ani Hashem lo shanisi. God is infinite and He never changed. Which means before creation God is infinite, after creation God is infinite. All that changed is now there's a perspective from the creation that we can actually believe that there's no God, but the deepest truth is there's nothing but God, and our entire free will is to choose to return to a conscious state that there's nothing but God. That's the entire purpose of Kabbalah, by the way. That's called Yichud, that a person comes into a unification that him and God are really one. These levels are also hinted to in a servant to a king, which is level number two. A servant to a king is a faithful servant, and he follows the king, and he does what the king says, and the king loves him, and he wants to do anything the king tells him to do, but there's a king and there's him. We're separate. Moreover, if the servant nullified himself to the king, then the entire construct of a king and a servant would fall apart. There would no longer be a king and a people. That would dissolve. So there has to be a bit of a distance. It's a good thing that the servant is faithful to the king and the king is benevolent and loves the servant. So then what's level number one? I started level number two. What's level number one? The servant says, I know of no such king. You speak of this king, but I never met this king. And he runs away. He runs away to some other faraway land to drink his life away in some pub somewhere. Who knows where? That's number one. Number two is the servant is faithful and knows the king and lives with the king and is very deeply close to the king and has a wonderful, beautiful life. But there's still him and the king. So what's level number three?
Father, Son.
So it's a father, son, and deeper it's a love. It's two lovers. The deepest is two lovers. That two lovers, the love is so deep that not only do I want to do whatever you want, I want to listen, I want to make you happy, I want to follow all the things that you want me to do. But at a certain point, I don't know where I end and you begin, and you end and I begin. We're becoming one again. There's a dissolving. There's a complete oneness. That's why the greatest analogy of the most intimate relationship between God and humankind is the husband and wife. It's so important that that relationship is given sacredness, because that's where two can become one again. Even the whole idea of having a child is that this is something that the two became one. It's interesting, right? We had two, and now the child is it's both. It's two that became one. It's made up of both. It's both of us, but it's its own oneness. The Gewalt, right? The child is one. It's one. So the world's telling people not to have children. But I was quoting Kanye yesterday, because he said if he became president, he would give $1 million to anybody that had a baby. If he was president. I thought it's a pretty good presidential platform. I happen to agree with Kanye on that one. But I said, I don't think $1 million is enough. It's very, very cheap. Children, what that means, the secret of having holy children, $1 million is nothing. A couple Bitcoin, it's nothing.
Incentive to have like 10 kids.
Until it goes up. Yeah, incentive. But that's obviously not the reason. But I don't think Kanye really meant it in that way. I think he meant that the value of children, the value of life, is the secret of two becoming one, of joining together, becoming one. So those are the levels. And all of that, by the way, is what's happening on Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, you get your free will. It's the birthday of humankind, which is the only being in existence that has free will. We have free will. Free will does not mean to choose between vanilla and chocolate. That's not free will. That's just two of my taivas, two of my instincts, and my instinct and my DNA was programmed to like vanilla more than chocolate. That's not a free will decision. So the guy is there sitting, you go for dinner with somebody, and like the menu comes out, and like, you guys ready to order? You guys ready? Like I got all the tables, you know. Just now, I promise. It's like 1 more minute, because it's got to be the best thing. Oh my goodness, choices. Such free will decision. This is really difficult. And then it's like, are you gonna order already, please? Because it's not the best thing on the menu. It's like a failure. It might even go out. And the guy, and he orders, okay, fine. And then you see someone bring his, I should have ordered that one. I made a bad free will decision. That's not free will. That's all your DNA. That's just one animal instinct fighting another one. That's how we are programmed. Free will is to make an animal decision or a moral decision. Do I sleep in, or do I get up and do something meaningful with my life? That's free will. Do I shut off the Netflix and go and visit somebody who's not well and is sick? Or do I just sit around eating Pringles? That's free will. That's free will. Okay? On Rosh Hashanah we get free will. What's the most important free will decision that we will make, and we are making every single second of our life, and the moment that we confirm it, the epicenter of that decision is on Rosh Hashanah? What is that free will decision?
To recognize God.
To recognize God as the reality. And that happens in different levels. Either the guy runs away, that's level number 1, bad decision. Level number 2 is he does recognize. But he's still, his free will has kept God as me and him separate. The higher free will decision is I don't want to be separate from you, God. I don't want to identify as this separate being from you. Like two lovers that say, I don't want to be separate. I want to become literally one with you. Now, the mystical secret in that is you're still aware of yourself as one. You don't dissolve. You become one and you're aware of it. We've mentioned this before, and we'll end with this. That higher level is called relating to God through his name Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. The lower level that we mentioned, level number 2, is relating to Hashem through his name Elohim. I'm aware of God, that you are the master of all the powers, so I have to listen to you, but it's you and it's me. A Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey is Haya Hoive V'yeh. God, you transcend time. But I want to tell you what the Arizal says. It says the Arizal, what does it mean? Haya Hoive V'yeh. Was, is, and always will be. It says the Arizal is talking about 3 stages of creation. Haya is referring to pre-creation. There's nothing but God. All of creation is, so to speak, inside of God. Like the way that a child is inside the mother's womb. Completely forced dependence. One. Hoveh is the state of God from the perspective of creation, post-creation, where it feels like there's God and there's us. That's Hoveh. Now, referring to the time of creation. That's the time we're in right now. Where the entire decision, is what we're talking about now, is will I run away or will I become more aware of God's being the only existence, and I become more and more and more integrated into that truth as the only reality. Phase number 3, Yeh, is the time after this world, called the world to come, when we re-enter into God's unity, but now we're totally aware of it. So the secret is, can you already do the stage of the time to come now? Can you already get that message now, that there's nothing but God? In the world to come, we're all going to see that. The only difference is how much we're going to be able to experience that reality. That's dependent on how much we use our free will now to choose God as the only reality, and not to be swayed by the lies of this world that basically tell you, who is this God? Like Pharaoh told the world. Who's this God? There's no God. Yeah, there's no God. So my dear friends, that is the mission that we're all being charged with on Rosh Hashanah. And that's why every theme of the day is screaming out, God, we want you. You're the only option. And by the way, it's going to give you the happiest life, the best life, to be connected to the source of life, the Melech Chofetz B'chaim, the God who loves life. He wants life. He desires you to have the best life possible. That's why the project of creation happened in the first place. All for us to have the happiest, best life possible. That's the opportunity of Rosh Hashanah. That's why Rosh Hashanah is such a happy day. It's such a happy day. It's a day of total clarity of our purpose and our free will in this world. Is to choose you, and all we want is you. Let us make that choice. B'ezrat Hashem, this Rosh Hashanah, be dancing with Mashiach Tzidkeinu and Vin Beis Hamikdash Kumher V'yameinu. Amen. Amen. A wonderful day, Chevra. Kol Tuv.